Hello YouTube, welcome back to my Model Railway channel workbench videos, and this is now part 4 of converting the ex-Gypsy Hill Dapple Terrier from R.O.S Sheffield into Fenchurch. So last time we did one of these, it was basically move the dome, so I've done that, replaced it, painted it up a little bit so you can see it's not too in your face, and I've started adding or finished making all the pipework for it. So you can see here all the pipework and the rod going into the cab for the right hand side and one for the left hand side, as well as the small piece which goes to the vacuum inside the cab. And of course we've got the vacuum pipe now made, not fitted yet, to the cab and the smoke box. Since last time I have added the new smoke box door, so you can see that's now correct to what is on the actual locomotive, I would say, at the moment, although it's in pieces at the moment. And you can also see I've removed the number from the front, painted the buffers silver, and also added the black collar around the actual buffer housing itself. On this video I thought I'd do a little bit of work and actually show you how to remove the print and also put the transfers on, as I know a few people have asked for transfers. So I've now got the delivery of extra transfers, so I have a few left, so I thought I will show you how about going about removing them and adding them. The easiest ones are the buffers, the buffer beam. So they're quite easy to remove with thinners on a cotton bud and a glass fibre pencil or brush. The tank ones are a little bit more complicated, which is why I'm going to do it on camera and embarrass myself immensely. So these are the tools that I use for basically changing the numbers or lettering or whatever. So some thinners, which are just the standard enamel thinners from Humbrol. Just in case of emergencies, I've got some P483 London Brighton South Coast Marsh Umber Brown, which is about the same colour as what's on this model. Also, as well, I have cotton buds for the thinners, and also my fiberglass pen or pencil to clean off any existing or what's left of the transfer or print that's on the model. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the tank first, which I'm dreading because it didn't go very well the other side, but I've fixed it up enough so it won't be too noticeable. So let's start. So first of all, before completely going at it hammer and tongs with a cotton bud, what I'm going to do is just dampen a cotton bud with some thinners and just dab it on the letters that I am removing. What this does is softens them up, makes it a little bit easier to get off. I'll leave that for a few seconds to let that sink in, and then we will start removing the lettering. Okay, so now the thinners have now sunk into the lettering. I will start just easing a cotton bud around. I'm not using too much pressure. As you can see, the gold, or the colour sort of gold they have on here, has come off very easily, just leaving the shading of the letter. Now this is the next bit which goes terribly wrong, because that shading does not come off at all easily. As you can see, the gold stuff is just the gold ink they've tamper printed on is just coming off very easily. Try to avoid getting it on the lining, because that comes off very easily as well. So you can see all the gold has gone. Now the next problem is trying to get the black print off, and unfortunately it is not easy to get off whatsoever. Okay, so you've joined me back here after a little bit of more exploration, having a look at it. So it appears that no matter how hard you scrub at it, it will not come off. And the reason for that is, what it appears is that the brown, the tamper printed brown on the top, which I assume is tamper printed, just assuming, I have tried to get the black shading off with just scraping away at it with a knife, but that doesn't work, because what happens is it goes through to the black undercoat. So what I think they've done is they've printed the brown with gaps for the shading, and then putting the gold or whatever colour they've used on top of that. So no matter how hard you scrub at it, it will go through. I mean, I can sort of feel it's on the surface, but it's just impossible to get rid of, because then you'll burn through the brown paint which is underneath, or on top of, depending which way around they put it on. And as you can see here on the L, I've just tried to scrape that off, and it's gone completely through to the black, which is why I have this pot of paint, just in case. So there is no real way of getting that off safely. I've tried different things like T-cut and Brasso and various other things, but they just won't shift. So unfortunately we're going to have to try and get rid of it the best I can, and just paint over this section just to sort of blend it in. Difficult to do, but unfortunately that's the way I have to do it, because this won't come off easily. So after much trying, unfortunately I have had to go through the paint, which does look to me like the brown one's printed on black, and the black, as you try and scrub away at it, gets underneath the brown paint and then gets rid of the brown paint. So, which is why I have a pot of this on the side, just in case it goes wrong. So what I'll do is I'll paint over the brown or black areas, I should say, and try and blend it all in, and then I'll put some varnish over the top, let it dry, and come back to it tomorrow. So I thought, just to be a little bit easier, I thought I'd show you the buffer beam removal. So again, standard procedure, cotton bud and some thinners. Again, dip a small amount in, just dab it on. Now what might happen is the black may come off the end of the running plate. We can replace that with a little bit of black paint, or the old modeller's trick is basically to use a marker pen. I've always seen them on exhibition layouts when they have a little bit of damage I want to hide. So I'll leave that to sink in and then come back and remove the rest. Okay, so now that's sunk in a little bit, I can start removing print on the buffer beam. Now again, the gold will come off first, as it did with the tanks. So this will come off first, the shading will not want to come off, but it will eventually. That's where the glass fibre pencil comes in, because it will actually go. So as you can see, all the gold has gone, but of course we want that shading gone, so I need to be a little bit more tough with it. Just going to bring in my fiberglass pencil and start carefully removing the shading. I know this works because I've done it on the front and I've done it on the back. Just got to be very careful. So there we have one clear buffer beam. I've also taken off the old transfer on that side, so it was looking a bit rubbish. So that's been cleaned off. Then the new transfer will just go on top when I'm ready. So for now I'm going to go back to the side, repair that, and then tomorrow we'll put on the new transfers. Okay, so the surface is nice and clean, and also a little bit damp just to help the transfer go across. So all you need for this is tweezers, hopefully a cocktail stick. There we go. So basically what I'm looking for is to get this in the centre, hopefully. It will just come off. Right, there we go. So that is reasonably in the middle. What I can do, because it's only water, is just nudge it up a little bit. Because these are water slides, I can line them up and do what I want with it. So after a bit of fiddling, I've just about got it in the middle. It's about 2 and a bit mil to the outside edges of the lining, and about 3.5 top to bottom, from the bottom of the lettering to the top of the lining, and the top of the lettering to the bottom of the lining. So that's about in the middle for me. So that will be left to just dry out for a little bit, and then what I'll use is I'm going to put some microsole on it to suck that transfer down to the surface, and making the translucent carrier basically disappear, and then we'll put some varnish over the top and protect it. And it'll be the same for the capside plaque as well, which I'm not going to remove completely. I'm just going to put it straight over. So after putting the transfers on, I had quite a nightmare after the last section. So I put the transfers on, as you saw, lined them all up, got them in the correct place, and then I put some varnish on to protect them, as I normally do, and I used a slightly different varnish, one that I usually use for renumbering, and I put the varnish on and it went a bit strange. So avoid rail match varnish on this one. It came out a bit strange, so I have spent the last 2 days trying to rescue it, which I've just about done by putting some normal varnish I use on, which is a little bit thicker and a little bit more forgiving. However, the Loco is pretty much now gloss, although I've toned it down in some places like the smoke box and the top of the running tanks and the running plate as well. So let's have a look. So here we have name and the number plate on the side of the cab. On the front here we have numbers. I've also refitted the vacuum pipe, which gives it a vacuum on the brake. You can also just about see I've added a vacuum brake master cylinder, if you know what I mean. So that's now mounted inside the cab. I've now refitted the back of the cab, which is off last time you saw it, and I've also covered up that horrendous gap, so that's also gone. The other side's all been done. Nameplate, name and plaque, and it's pretty much ready to go so far. So I still need to add obviously the handrails back on, and also the additional pipework for the buffer beam and also the boiler. So in the next part, which will be part 5 I think, I'll show you what I do with that, as it's chemically blackened, then put on, and that'll be the final thing. Hope you've enjoyed this section, and see you in the next part.